Hi everyone, welcome to the Knitting TurnPike. Hi everybody, welcome to the Knitting TurnPike. My name is Gina Pike. I'm so happy that you're here today. Today we're going to be doing a vlog update for week 9 of 2022. I have 2 finished projects to share with you this week, and this is kind of what I'm going to be doing, is doing like a weekly update, sharing whips and finished items and tips and tricks and yarns with you guys here at least weekly. So please grab something to drink, and this might be a little bit longer. I do have 2 finished items to share with you that I've never shared before. Well, I think I've shared the beginning of one in a live show. So I'm going to go through the construction of these, any tips, tricks that I thought were helpful, and then please share with me below what you guys are currently working on, or any suggestions you may have or questions you may have. And then I also have one project to remind you guys of that will be starting soon, that I'm going to be participating in. Now, I've been promising to talk about this one for a while. This project is a finished project that I did over the Christmas break, the break that I was on in part of January. This is a test knit that I did. This is a pattern by Sara Greer, who is Azariah Fiber Arts. I found her through yarnpond.com. That is a website if you would like to join, if you would like to be a test knitter for somebody. There's all kinds of designers there and patterns. I went there, I saw this pattern, and I fell in love with it immediately, and just knew that I wanted to knit it even if I wasn't accepted to be a test knitter. But I did apply and I was accepted, so I test knitted this for her, which made it maybe a little bit more complicated than it is. It's not a hard knit, but during the test knit there were sections that we had to evaluate and mark, where we had to really pay attention to the chart. Things weren't lined up correctly because she's a left-handed knitter, and a lot of us were coming from the other direction. So there was a few notes to take while we were doing this, but it was fun. And this is what I made. This is a jacket. This pattern is called Spring. Now she's going to be doing this pattern in groups, in 4 groups. It's going to be part of a book. Give me 1 second. The book is called Seasons of Sophistication. And this pattern, the Spring, is the first of 4. And there's going to be, this pattern is going to be released on February the 22nd, so next week, or maybe it may be today, depending on when I post this video. But February the 22nd, you can go on Ravelry and find this pattern available to purchase, is what she told me. Now, if it isn't available for purchase, it should be soon. She may just be running a little bit behind on publishing this. But what this basically is a jacket that I made, and let me show you the design of it. Now this is made, maybe I need to stand back here. Now if you can see this, this is made in a circular pie shawl fashion. You can see this is a pie shawl, right? And so it's a pie shawl, which is very easy to knit. You knit on the right side only, and then there were sleeves added to the pie shawl, which makes it into a jacket. Can you see how it's formed? And when you wear the pie shawl, it'll bunch up around your neck, and you have your sleeves. I think I got this upside down. 1 second. It goes like this. Yeah, that's much better. And you can see there's the sleeves on each side, and there's the length, and this is all lace. This started out with a cast on that I was unfamiliar with, called a circular cast on. I'm going to do a video for this. I'm going to come back and post videos for some of these stitches that I'm going to mention here that I think you guys might be interested in, and I'll do video shorts, and then when I get them posted, they'll be linked in my description box. But basically you started right here in the center, and you started right here, this, and you did a circular cast on. It's kind of like a magic loop for crochet. You get a few stitches going. I believe there was like 9 stitches, and then you put them on DP ends. I've got a picture of that. And then you get it going, and then you just cinch up the extra tail that you have, the tail left over, and it pulls that circle closed, just like a magic loop for crochet. I will do a video for that type of cast on if you're interested. But you start there. You also had to do gauge. You had to do a gauge swatch for this, and it was this circular piece, kind of like to right, I believe it was right here. Now I had to redo mine again because I started with the recommended needle, which was a US 4, and my gauge was too big. I'll show you a picture here. My circle was supposed to be, I believe it was supposed to be 4.5 inches, and it was actually 6 inches, so I had to drop down from a US 4 to a US 3. Now I was still a little bit big. When I dropped down to US 3, my circle was 5 inches across instead of 4.5. But I decided to go with it, even though the yardage requirements were going to be cutting it close. I believe the yardage requirements were 4 skeins of 430 yards, and then you needed 2 colors. You need 2 colors for the shawl. I had this yarn is both by Miss Babs. This is Miss Babs Cottodon yarn, which is a blue face Leicester wool yarn in a light fingering weight. Now the colors I used, these are the 2 yarns I used in 2 colors. Now the dark green was the trim. This is the yarn I used for my shawl, and this is all I had left of my big skein. This was 1,750 yard skein, and I think it's 11 grams. Now this color is called Fiber World 2020, and this is the label for the Miss Babs yarn. There we go. And then this was the one I used for the trim, and the colorway for the trim, this dark green, is called Black Watch. And I have a lot more of it. I have a lot more of it left over because I only needed like a couple of 100 yards. Let's see how much I used. I used 168 yards of this green for all the trim around my sleeves and around the whole pie shawl. It felt like a lot more. The edging was, it felt like the never ever ending edge because you're going all the way around the shawl. You're going all the way around the shawl, but it's really not that much that you had to do. I'll get there when we get there. Let me go back and start over, or get back to this center section. As you can see, you do the star and you do the lace. There's 7 different charts for this pattern. You do that star section, and then you have this other section which goes into this part here. All of this is knit in a circular, on circular needles, so or DP ends, and so that means you're knitting on the right side. That made this go a lot faster. It was a lot easier. Every other row was a row where you was kind of like a resting row. You just knit the row, and that was not included in the pattern. So you have to remember, do one on the chart, then do a knit row. Do one on the chart, do one on the knit row. But it's not that hard to remember that. I think I did it a couple of times though. Then you got to this section here. This section here was some more lace, different lace techniques, and I'm thinking, as you can see, there's all kinds of different stitches in here. There are some actual bobble stitches in here. This right here is an interesting stitch called a gathered stitch, where you take 2 stitches and you knit those 2 stitches together, and then you do not drop it off the needle, and you go through the back loop and knit those 2 stitches together again through the back loop, and it makes a really beautiful textured stitch. It's this one right here. I'll do a video, short video for that. As you can see, there's also a bobble stitch, and I actually used a crochet hook for these bobbles, and they came out really nice and even, and I'll try to do a tutorial for that. As you can see, after you moved on to those gathered stitches, the only thing about them is there was a lot of them as you're going around this, as you can see. It did make my finger hurt a little bit. As you can see, there's gathered stitches here, 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 all the way around. And then you have this lacy leaf section, and then you have this last section, which are just diamonds going all the way around your shawl. And that's what I really love about this shawl, is that it's just all lace, different types of lace motifs and sections, and that's why I fell in love with it right away. Now, as you're knitting this along, you did have to put in some waste yarn for where your sleeves would go, and I'll come back to that, but I just wanted to mention that you just basically had to knit some waste yarn into a section of like 30 something stitches on different locations where she tells you to do. Once you finish that last section, you have the edging that you come to, and you put on in a different color, and basically you are knitting this perpendicular, so you're knitting this lace edging like this to your shawl, and as you come back this way, you are binding off the stitches on your shawl. So you're adding the edging, and you're binding off the circular part of this jacket as you go along. But as you can see, it's a very long, it feels like the never ever ending edging, but it's not. It goes quite fast. I believe it was 8-row repeat. I think that's what, if I remember correctly. I'm not remembering, as I did this like over a month ago, so I'm having a hard time remembering some of the stuff that I did on it. I'm going to be inserting some of me modeling it. My husband took some pictures of me with it on outside, but I'll insert that here at the end. After you get the edging, lace edging done all the way around, you come back and you cut that waste yarn and pick up the stitches and do the sleeves. And one of the things I thought was really cool that she did, there are some wrap and turn sections in here, but it's right at the base of where your sleeve is to give yourself a little bit more room. I'll show you where that is. It's this section here. As you can see, the garter stitch part, that's some wrap and turn, where it gives you just that little extra bit of fabric right there to give your arm a little bit more room. And then you can see that's the lace for the sleeve. Really beautiful pattern that you just repeat over and over. And then when you get down here to the end, you have this beautiful, more open mesh lace. And then after you finish that, you do the same thing you did with the edging for the circular part, where you knit the edging perpendicular to the edge of this circular part of your sleeve and bind it off as you go around, adding the lace edging. And so you got two sleeves. Now I found my sleeves were, I believe there was 8 repeats of this motif. I ended up doing 7 because I was running short on yarn, and I knew that I would not have enough to do 8 repeats on both sides. However, I think this worked out okay, because when I blocked my shawl, I was looking for that little piece of yarn. You saw it. It was only like 11 grams. I would not have had enough yarn of that green to do 8 repeats on both arms. But when I blocked this out, I used a pool noodle. I'll show a picture of that to block my arms up off the circular part of the jacket. And I pulled it maybe a little bit too long, because now my sleeves are a little too long. But this might work to my advantage when I wear something, like if I wear this over like what I have on right now. Let me put this on and show you. See, now I've got on 2 shirts, and I've got on a sweatshirt and another shirt, and then I'm putting this on over. And now see, these sleeves don't look too long now because they're going over the bulky part of my shirt. So, you know, if I'm wearing a sweater and I wear this over that, this might just be the right length. I did block them, like I said, a little bit long. I do have I have a pin right here to hold it closed if I want to, but it's a really easy pattern. I mean, it's a lot of knitting. I will say that it is a lot of knitting. Like I said, this green was 1,750 yards, and I had 11 grams left. And then this was 600 yards, but I only used like 168 of this green. So it's probably about 1,900 yards of yarn. But the way that it's knitted, it doesn't feel that heavy or anything. It's really nice and lightweight, and I really love it. And I'm glad I made it. Now again, I think she's going to be making 3 other versions. Like she's going to be selling a booklet of 4. So I'm curious to see what the other versions look like, and I may want to knit those as well. I haven't decided. I'm going to wait and see. I don't know that I have time to be a test knitter for the other 3, but it doesn't mean that I may not knit it after they've been test knitted. So again, I will put the stitches that were used in this were these, and I will put some links to some of these stitches after I do some tutorials. I thought I did some tutorials as I did it, but I couldn't find them. So either I erased them or I didn't do them. There is the yarn over, the knit front and back, the central double decrease stitch, which I have a ton of videos for that, the purl stitch, all of these, slip slip knit, knit 2 together, all of these I have videos for. Now here's one that's called a centered eyelet stitch. That one's a little bit different. I'll do a video for that. Basically, you have to knit 2 stitches together, then you drop 1 stitch off, and then you have to do a yarn over and then another knit 2 together. And then you have another stitch called the 7 in 3, where basically you knit the next 3 stitches on your needle together, do a yarn over, and knit the next 3 stitches together 3 times. So it's yarn over, knit 3 together, yarn over, knit 3 together. So the 3 stitches end up becoming 7 stitches. You have a knit 5 stitch, and that's just where you knit 5 stitches. Then you have the gathered stitches, which I showed you and mentioned. That's where you knit 2 together through the front, and then you knit those same 2 stitches together through the back, and it makes that really crisscross, beautiful design. And then of course the noop. So those are the stitches that are in the Season of Sophistication Spring by Sara Greer, and thank you for letting me share that with you. Now the next item I want to share with you that I finished this week. I actually started this a week ago, and I was able to finish this in a week. It's still damp, so it's still drying. I'm not going to put it on, but this is, I showed you guys this in my live show. This is the Love Note pattern by TinCanKnits. It's a sweater. It's a cropped sweater pattern. And what I showed you guys was, well, the way that the pattern is written, it's recommended that you use a fingering weight yarn held together with a mohair yarn to make a DK weight yarn. And what I ended up using was, I had this ice yarn, kid mohair, in this gray. And then I had this Madelinetosh Merino Light yarn in Constellation. And I like the way that they worked together, and those are the 2 yarns that I used for my Love Note. Now this is probably a little bit dark because, like I said, it's still a little wet because I just washed it and had it blocking out this morning, so it's not quite finished laying out to dry. But this is it. I love how it works together. Washing it really made the mohair calm down a little bit, made it a lot softer. At first it was a little, but I like this now. It feels a lot softer. This is a really simple pattern. Basically, you started right here at the neck with a provisional cast on. I did my provisional cast on with an extra cable needle. I think I have a picture of that. I'll insert that. But basically, when I casted on my stitches, I cast them onto my regular knitting needle, and I cast them onto an extra cable needle so that when I was ready to pick up and do the neck and finish it off, my stitches were already picked up. Now, I'll put a link to the video that I used as a tutorial in the description box below. But the great thing that you have to remember is, or the important thing to remember, is that you need to do it tight. You don't want it to be too loose, because if you do, then your stitches, when you come to use those stitches later on, will be really loose, and it'll look really weird for your neck. But that's kind of, I'm talking about right here. Basically, it wasn't that much you had left to do. Now, I did see, and I didn't see this before I started, but there are some projects in Ravelry that started at the neck and did not do that provisional cast on. They did probably a ribbing type of a cast on and did the neck, and then just increased out. And you can totally do that too. I probably would have done that if I had seen that, but I didn't. And actually, it was kind of interesting to do that provisional cast on, and I was really happy that I was able to do it the way I did it, and because it made picking up those stitches, you know, they were already there. I didn't have to do that. Then you moved on into this lace section next. This lace section, you just knitted it circularly, and see it goes all the way around the back. Once you do that, then you split the stitches for your sleeves on both sides, and I put them on a sleeve protector, or a sleeve holder. And I did the sleeves after I finished knitting this. You basically, after you put the sleeves on a sleeve holder, you do cast on some stitches to go across where your sleeve was, and then you just knit this body in the round all the way down. Now for the body, the pattern recommended for my size, this is a size medium. They had 2 lengths. Now, you could either do a cropped length, or you can do a little bit longer length. Now, for my size, it recommended doing my C2 to be 9 inches. And I think I did 10 inches. So I made it just a little bit longer than what that said, because it also, you get another inch as well when you do the ribbing. The ribbing adds about an inch. So I did it 9 inches. And then, as you can see, as I hold this up, you can see the back is a little bit longer than the front. There is a section after you do your body, before you do the ribbing, where you add some short row shaping, and it makes the back detail just a little bit longer than the front. I went ahead and did that in, I think it was 10 rows of short row shaping. I don't remember exactly. And then you do your ribbing and close that out. You do the 1x1 ribbing, and that's what that looks like. And then after you finish your body, you come back and pick up your stitches off of your stitch holder. And I decided that I was going to do short sleeves. I didn't want to do the long sleeves. Now this, for me, what I did was I put my sleeves on my needle. I had a 9-inch needle I actually, on this sweater, I'm also went down when I did my gauge swatch. It recommends you use a US 10 and a US 7 to make this sweater. And my gauge was bigger than that. Way too big. It would have made the sweater be way bigger. So I went down a needle size. I knitted this with a US 9 and a US 6 instead of a US 7. So anyway, I picked up my stitches, put them on a 9-inch US 9 for my sleeves, and knitted these. And instead of doing, now they recommend you do the sleeves 11 inches. And what I did was I decided I was going to do short sleeves. And now this is actually comes to about it comes to right above my elbow. Now this is what I did was you have to do, you pick up your stitches. I did 24 rounds. And then I started there is one row that you do that's a decrease, where you decrease evenly based on the size that you're making. So I did my decrease, and then I did my ribbing, which is just a 1x1 ribbing, kind of like the bottom. And you just do that. I did it 4 rounds. So I did it 4 times. And then you just do the other sleeve exactly the same. I did picked up my stitches, did 24 rounds, then did my decrease, row evenly, and then did my 1x1 ribbing to make it. And the way I ended this ribbing And the sleeves, I did the super stretchy bind off. I did not do like a ribbing bind off. I did try it and it was a little tight, so I did the super stretchy because I want to make sure I had enough room there for my arm. And also at the bottom I did the super stretchy bind off and the neck. Now after you finish the sleeves, you come back to the neck, pick up, you put your the right size needle on that cable where that was holding your provisional stitches, and you just do some decreases, and then you put your ribbing on there. And there's modifications you can do if you want your neck a little bit higher up on your neck. You can make it a little bit more, or so there are some ways to modify this. And there are like 8,000 projects in Ravelry, notes. You know, go check out people's projects. If you find one that you like, see what they did and draw from it. But this is my Love Note sweater, and it took me exactly 1 week to do the gauge and the sweater. That's how easy it is. Super, super easy. Now for the yarn I used let's see, I used 1 full skein of Madelinetosh and about half of a skein. Let's see, I used 1.44 skeins. Now 1 skein has 420 yards. So the total yardage I used for Madelinetosh was 651 yards. And then for the Mohair, the Ice Yarns Kid Mohair, we have a fire going. It's cold today. Sorry, it's crackling. I used 1 full skein of Mohair and 1.66 skeins. Each skein was 30 grams, and that turned out to be 545 yards of Mohair. So, and that's what it looks like. I'll get up a little bit closer so you can see the pops of color. I really love the color of this Madelinetosh yarn. It's got some pops of pink and turquoise and purple. Just really subtle though. It's more gray than anything, but you can see some of the pops. Like there's a turquoise there in the neck. It's just really subtle and pretty, and I like how it turned out. I can't wait to wear this. But I've got to go put it back on the blocking board because it's still really wet. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that and share that with you. And I still got to cut, you know, the strings off and everything. But really happy with that, how it turned out, and excited that it turned out so quickly. You know, if you guys are looking to make a quick sweater, and I did see some that were made like longer as well. So it's a sweater pattern that's easily modified. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter, and it also has sizes in the pattern, which I really love this, from 0 to 6 months all the way up to 5XL. That is amazing that they have that many you know, sizes in this one pattern, and that's TinCanKnits. I'll link all that information down in the description box below. Now those are the 2 finished projects I've done for this week. Well, I did this one a while back, but I haven't talked about it because I wanted to wait until it was a little bit closer to when the pattern will be releasing in Ravelry. Again, this pattern releases on the 22nd of February, and this is already in there. Just something I finished this week. Now the next thing I want to mention to you is an upcoming project that I'm going to be knitting, and it starts on the 22nd of February as well. This is a shawl mystery knit along. I mentioned this in my live show. This is called As You Wish, an Inconceivable MCAL, which is a mystery knit along. This is a knitted shawl pattern, and it's by Mary Anarella, who is of Lyrical Knits. And what you need to do to participate in this, you need 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn, at least 400 yards each, and you need them in colors that kind of contrast with each other. So I had a kit that I had purchased from Amanda Hope Yarns last year, and I'm going to be using it for this knit along. I'm trying to use a lot of yarns out of my stash this year. And these are the yarns I'm going to be using. I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to order them, but she said that you want to order them basically so that your C1 and your C2 will have some color work, and your C3 and your C4 will have some contrasting color work. Now this is going to be probably my C1, and since this has some of this color in it, they were ordered like this. or that's how they were, you know, from light to dark. I think since there's some of this color in this skein, I'm going to order them something probably like this. I think this is going to be my C1, my C2, my C3, my C4, which means these two will have colorworks side by side, and these two will have colorworks side by side. Now I might switch it, and I might do these two colorworks side by side, and then these two colorworks side by side. I haven't yet figured out how I'm going to order them, but I just wanted to mention the colorworks so that you guys can see it. These are, let's see, these are Amanda Hope Aussie Extra Fine Yarn, fingering weight, 4 ply, superwash. They're just superwash merino wool, 100 grams, 400 meters. Now this color is wheat. This color is ochre. This color is called bronze. And it actually really has some, it looks solid, but it's got some nice variations in there. And then this one's called oil rubbed bronze. And that's what I'm going to be using. And I think she's calling this this set, she's actually selling this set online for this mystery knit along, and she has some other ones that she's selling as well. Miss Babs is selling some yarn kits for this mystery knit along if you want to get a kit and participate. But this kit is called You Rush In a Miracle Man, You Get Rotten Miracles. This is all based on the Princess Bride book, and I've not seen the movie, but I'm excited about knitting this. And again, there's gonna be some color work and some texturing, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And again, you know me, I love to knit shawls, so I'm excited about that. I wanted to mention it because it will be coming up next week, and that's probably when I'll post this video. So if you want to jump in and knit this along with me, I would love that so very much. But the other thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting my gauge swatch. I'm going to be working on a knit along. It's a make along. This is going to be hosted by Diana Dye, who is Diana Hughes. It's going to be starting March the 15th and running through April the 30th. It's called the Speckled. She wants people to use her yarns, and this is called the Springtime Speckled Party. And I have some of her yarns. That's one of the colors that she recommended in my stash. I'm going to be gauge swatching this. This is the yarn I'm going to be using. This is her Fairy Dust yarn. I have 4 skeins, which is enough for a top. I'm going to be making the Air Dance top. I'll put a picture here of what it looks like. Love the texture. It's textured on the front and lace on the back. I'm excited about that, but that's what I'm going to be working on this week, is doing my gauge swatch for that. So if you guys have any questions about these mystery knit alongs or make alongs or any projects that I've made, please don't hesitate to put them down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for letting me share that with you. If you want to share with me what you're currently working on, I would really love to hear that. I think going forward, I'm just going to be kind of doing like regular updates. And again, please update me. Send me pictures if you want me to share things. Again, we are a family here. We support each other. We share what we're working on, and I share what I'm working on with you guys in the hopes that maybe you'll want to knit something that I'm knitting, and we can share our experiences with each other. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Thank you for spending some time with me today, letting me talk about all of these. Also, don't forget, I'm trying to put together some sort of big giveaway to celebrate the subscribers I have here. We mentioned that in my live show as well. So be a little patient with me. I'm trying to figure out what the best way going forward. Most of you guys have mentioned that you guys prefer it to be in a recorded video so that you don't have to show up for the live show. So I'm working on that. If you guys have an opinion on that, don't hesitate to put me a comment down below. I am working on getting all my comments answered, which is taking me some time, but I will get there. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. I will see you all very, very soon. All right, bye.